Welcome back to Comfortable Lives. I'm your host, Harry, and this is Tokenism. Now, in general, tokenism is really relegated to a racial issue, but it isn't actually. Certainly it is played off as if it is just a racial issue, and the racial issue is absolutely horrible. But it's a lot further than that, a lot more widespread. As far as tokenism is concerned, what it really is it's just a symbolic effort, meaning it's an inherently meaningless virtue signal, for lack of a better term. It's a ploy to raise awareness to a subject that everyone is already painfully aware of. And the idea that this token effort really is as good as direct action, let's say, is laughable at best, but it is pitifully the most prevalent form of action that anyone is taking. A few weeks ago, I did a podcast on sitcom culture where I explained that society as a whole basically likes to have their problems and solutions packaged into these really short-term conflict resolution situations where just this one thing that changes automatically fixes all the problems. That is due to social programming via the television, and if you don't think that that's real and you think that that's some sort of conspiracy theory, all of that paperwork has actually been released to the public, and the redactions have been taken away. We know this, it's a fact at this point, that the United States government, via the FBI and CIA, have done studies on social programming via television media. And to think that they're not using it is naive at best. So, where's the link between that? Well, the link between these two things is tokenism, either on a social level or a political level, is literally the least possible effort above doing nothing whatsoever. And they're meant to solve these complex issues where obviously a token is just not going to do the job, but at least you can go, well, obviously I care, I did this, and whatever. Examples of tokenism are rife in our social and political spheres. And the real question is then, what do we do about it? How do we move forward? How do we deal with this? But that's after a word from our sponsor, the Sacred Agora. The Sacred Agora, your one-stop shop for musical instruments, music lessons, art, and graphic design. Please visit us at
thesacredagora.shopify.com. And thank you.
Welcome back. First, I want to talk about political tokenism. I'm not purposefully avoiding racial tokenism. I feel that that's an issue that has run its course. We all know it happens, and it's distasteful at best when it does happen. The "I have a person of color inserted here" friend is just at this point a trope, and we all generally understand that this is just not a good thing. The more damaging thing on a widespread level is political tokenism. Political tokenism is basically when your politicians engage in tokenism to garner political favor from the masses. There is a large amount of what we would like to call doublespeak, if you are well read in Orwellian literature, where they just change names of things and call it good. Perfect example of this is changing child detention centers for immigration into overflow facilities. Inherently, they're the same thing. Kids are still in cages. But, now that you call it an overflow facility, it somehow makes it not as big a deal as it was the last 4 years when someone from a different party was doing it. I mean, it was completely ignored when the 44th president of the United States and his vice president were doing this. It was completely ignored, and then the 45th president comes in and nobody likes him, so let's hammer at him about kids in cages, and then completely ignore the fact that this conversation should have happened, 8 years prior. And now that the 45th president has left office, the 46th president has come in and happens to be the vice president of the president before 45, and all of a sudden now they are happy fun camps and overflow facilities, and we don't talk about the fact that kids are in cages anymore. This is tokenism. This is literally, they're using doublespeak to go, look, I'm in office, and now the names have changed of the facilities that we're keeping them in, so therefore we're obviously not doing the same thing as the last guy, who happened to be doing the same thing as the guy before him, and it's the same thing that this guy's doing. It's just they have a better name for it. I guess branding goes a long way, right? Another form of political tokenism is the meaningless gestures. The claims that, Black Lives Matter to politicians, when it's painfully obvious that the common person of color did not matter at all. During this last presidential cycle, the winner of the presidency claimed that he was going to work with the Black Lives Matter organization, and my feelings on the organization itself aside, he did literally give them completely the shaft the minute he was in office. So, going out there on the political trail with your fist up and saying how you understand and you want to hear what this movement has to say, and then the minute you get elected and overwhelmingly this movement supported your campaign, just tossing them to the curb, well, this is another face of tokenism. And this actually hits on the racial level, specifically in this case of Black Lives Matter, but it's not just them. The politicians cater to special interest groups all the time and understand that the feasibility of following through is not there. But they're going to say it is just to get the votes. And that is tokenism. Oh, I care about your cause. I care about the corn farmers of Nebraska. By the way, we're subsidizing major corporations that are going to force you off of your land if you can't keep up with their sharecropper goals, and then they're just going to take your property from you and you're going to be homeless. That's how that actually panned out for many farmers throughout the United States. So you know, there's number two in political tokenism. And finally, as a tool for ID politics, identity politics is a serious issue, especially in the United States with all of the division. And I think I've actually, covered why there's so much division in the United States, but maybe I'll do like a more in-your-face video about it so that you get the point that I'm trying to get across here. But identity politics, another perfect example, and I know I'm kind of lambasting the Democrat Party, but they're in power now, so they get it. That's it. Tough shit. Currently, the cabinet is, the presidential cabinet, is filled with the most diverse group of warmongering psychopaths that, the Democrat Party could find. I'm unsure why it matters that there are people of color that want to blow up people on the other side of the planet, but apparently that's what the optics seem to be good for that kind of thing. I don't understand why. I don't understand why blowing people up on the other side of the planet is good optics for anybody. But I'm not a politician, so I guess that's why I don't get it. Maybe somebody can enlighten me in the comments why it's completely acceptable and preferable for one color, between blue and red. One color it's okay to murder people, and the other color it's not. Maybe you have some insight as to which one has the kinder, gentler bombs that they're throwing at destitute people in the third world. I ain't got it. But they use these, the identity politics, to garner support from people who identify with them. The current administration, well, we have a homosexual, well, we have a this, well, we have a that. Doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if you have rainbow sails on your ship. If you're going directly at an iceberg, you're still going to sink. It's literally the tokenism that I'm trying to not talk about, but there it is. It's, oh, well, I have a gay cabinet member, and I have a black cabinet member, I have an Asian I have a trans cabinet member. No one cares. Well, there are people who care. There are people who fall for tokenism all the time. But in essence, does that really make a difference? Does that help anybody? And I'm going to get to that part at the end of this. But first, a word from yet another sponsor.
The Bard and Broad Digital Buskers, providing a digital platform for street performers everywhere in the world. Just get yourself a tip cup and start performing today on Bard and Broad's digital
Welcome
platform.
back. Social Tokenism is the name of this segment, and it is about the tokenism that you do. That you do. That's right, you, the viewer, or, well, people you know. Maybe you don't engage in tokenism. Maybe everything that you do is either something that you feel will matter, or you don't bother. I mean, that's how I roll, but I hold myself to a different standard than most people. So, there's that. Thoughts and prayers, and this is one that we literally get to lambast the Republican side of the political spectrum because they love doing this one. Thoughts and prayers. I'm not a Christian man by any light, and that's garbage. Well, literally garbage. And someone says, "Oh well, you have my thoughts and prayers." It's like give my love to Bess. Who gives a shit? If you can't be bothered to call Bess, if you can't be bothered to visit Bess, if you can't be bothered to write a letter to Bess, you obviously don't give a shit. And you know you can just sidestep doing anything meaningful by having someone else just deliver that message. George Carlin did a skit on things like that. And Thoughts and Prayers kind of falls into that group that, oh, well, I'm not going to really do anything, but I feel really bad for your situation, and I'm going to talk to my invisible sky daddy to you. That's Thoughts and Prayers. There you go. Congratulations. You did literally nothing, but you expended some fucking time that someone had to read your post or someone had to listen to you fucking say, they have my thoughts and prayers. That's what your thoughts and prayers are. I literally can punch out a bunch of fucking thoughts and prayers in the shower every time I take one. There you go. Now, this past year, 2020, we had a new form of social tokenism brought to us by the rich and elite. It was fun. We're all in this together. For those who are catching this many years from now and don't know, in 2020, the United States government pretty much shut down 99% of the economy, and a lot of people who were dependent on that economy running for things like, paying their bills, food, renting, wherever they're living, or paying their mortgage, or what have you, were basically told to go fuck themselves by the federal government. When cries for help were finally answered by the federal government, it came in the form of a $1,200 check, followed 8 months later by a $600 check for some of the people, not all of the people. Now, granted, there were some extra considerations if you had children, but that was the gist, was you're getting $1,800 to hold you over for a year in a country where the median income is $32,000 a year. So you're supposed to pay your bills with $1,800 over the year. Now, they did say, oh, well, you can't get evicted, but you still have to pay that money. You're still living in the home that you're living in. You still have to pay that money. And you have no income. Or the income that you do have is severely truncated because the amount of business that your job does is severely truncated. And you're living off of unemployment with a minor federal supplement. Does anybody not see the problem with this? I mean, there you go. But the political and non-political entertainment elite were sure to put out videos telling us how we're all in this together. I don't know which random celebrity it was, but one was in a bath filled with milk. Milk! telling everybody, oh, it's really scary because this disease can get anybody, even me. Boo-hoo. We're not all in this together. Are we all in this together in the fact that everybody lives on the planet and this disease is going across the planet? Yeah, we're all in that together. But let me explain. When you have to worry about, at the end of this, having a $10,000 bill for your living accommodations, the racked up debt for your food bill, the racked up debt of your electric bill, of the Wi-Fi connection so that you could still claim unemployment, all of these things that are just, we're not getting paid for months and months and months, and all of a sudden now you have to pay everything. When you're a multi-millionaire, when you are literally in the top percentile of wealth owning people in this country, you are not in this with us. The rest of us have to sit there and deal with the stress of, am I going to still have a home at the end of this? Is there still going to be a job for me? The worst case scenario for any one of these celebrities is, am I going to have to change my lifestyle to not be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year? Sorry if I'm not sad about that. Politicians, the worst they had to worry about is, maybe I won't get reelected. Maybe I'll have to go get a job being a lobbyist. Oh my. How the tables have turned. You've gone from a 5-figure income that you get to do insider trading because you're legally allowed to because you're a member of the government, as opposed to getting a 7-figure salary as a lobbyist because you are a political insider, because you spent decades in the political arena as a politician and therefore have many friends. Crimea River. Now, in the face of the normal person, we'll go back to them. This one's generally politically ambiguous. The temporary profile picture on Facebook. One of the greatest, worst inventions of mankind was social media. I will be abundantly clear on how I feel about this. It is the greatest tool, and at the same time it is the worst possible weapon against the people. In the mid 2010s, Facebook, raging in popularity, decided that every time that there was some sort of social issue, that they would allow temporary badges to surround your profile picture, which is just as useful and meaningful as sending your thoughts and prayers, except you don't even have to type. It's less effort for pretty much the same thing. I guess, hooray, technology moved this forward, but literally, the temporary profile pic has joined the ranks of token gestures of meaninglessness. On top of that, signs of solidarity. The signs of solidarity, oh, well, I care about this issue, so here, let me put this little token of solidarity so that these people know they're not alone. Well, guess what? Everybody knows that they're not alone. It's painfully obvious. We live on a fucking planet with fucking 7 billion goddamn people. 99% of them all infuriating. So, it's pretty clear we're not alone. But The reality is that I want to seem like I care and not actually have to invest anything into it. Well, meaningless gesture. Trans rights making the rounds as a hot button issue. It's become customary that everybody needs to put their pronouns on their profile. Why? It's irrelevant. If you don't have a pronoun that is unusual for your appearance, if it is not painfully obvious what your approach to gender is, there's no reason to have to do that, and it's condescending and insulting. It seems like it comes from the same type of mentality of I want to feel special too, even though there's nothing special about me. And I think it's kind of shitty, personally, because it's, oh, look at me, I care about this because I'm putting my pronouns, but my pronouns are exactly what you expect them to be based on societal norms up until this point. The LGBTQ community isn't really unfamiliar with this kind of tokenism, and I kind of am ashamed for them that they don't get this kind of tokenism as an inherently bad thing, because every June, every single business lines up with their LGBTQ catered merchandise to make millions and millions of dollars off of tokens supporting these groups, and then July 1st, it's this. Yeah, now literally what these companies do every year. It's, we're not going to talk about this for 11 months. See you next June. And this is the same thing. It's literally the same thing. It's, oh, well, if you care about trans people, you'll make them feel comfortable by putting your pronouns. Really? Can someone who is actually part of that group tell me if it would make them really comfortable for me to put the socially expected pronouns for a man, a cisgendered man? If that would make you feel more comfortable putting yours, because I don't see how that works. You put these things out there as an identifier. Well, there you go. Put it out as an identifier. If you are a whatever, just put it there. The reality is not so many people give a shit, and at the end of the day, this isn't 1980s America, 1970s America, or prior, where all of these things had legal ramifications. Forced hospitalization is not a legal course of action for someone who says, I know I'm in a male's body, but I feel like I'm a woman, or I feel like I'm neither, or this is how I identify myself, or however they go about making it known that they are not heteronormative, cisgendered, whatever the rest of the classifications are. If this was like 1980s and you were the lead singer of Joy Division, you're brave. Because not only do you have a massive amount of the human population looking to beat the shit out of you for openly singing about being a gay man, But the governments actually still had laws on the books that could lock you away in prison for sexual perversion, or a mental institution where you can choose to be chemically castrated to be allowed to come out. That's what happened to Turing, a gay man who invented the computer. Now, without Turing, would we still have computers? Probably. I'm going to say that technology finds a way, just like life finds a way in Jurassic Park. But this is the story as it unfolded in reality, and Homeboy hung himself, I believe. The only other time in history where it was as accepted to be a homosexual was ancient Greece, ancient Rome. Outside of these two points in time, I mean, prior to that, things get lost. But prior to current day, the next time earlier was ancient Rome, ancient Greece, when homosexual love was not targeted by society, we'll say. And now, another word from our sponsor. And we're back. So, what do we do at this point? Is tokenism a good method for raising awareness? Does it help? Does it hurt? And what do we do if it isn't a good thing? Well, generally, when tokenism, in this sense, is applied, it's an issue that everyone already knows is an issue. So, is it really raising awareness? I mean, is not donating a single penny to cancer research, but having that little pink ribbon on your profile page on social media, or plastered on the back of your car, is it really doing anything to raise awareness? Is there anybody who isn't aware that breast cancer exists in the world? I don't think so. I don't think that there's anyone that doesn't understand that racial injustice exists. So the tokenism really, does it help? Does it raise awareness? No, it doesn't. It just parrots awareness that's already in society. Now, the interesting thing is, does it hurt? And I think it does. I think, honestly, tokenism, going back to the beginning of this, the sitcom culture, tokenism allows people to think, well, I did what I could do. And now as far as I'm concerned, I don't have to go any further. I don't have to support any deeper than this token. And none of the hard work that actually has to happen to bring about any type of change in society, it falls on my shoulders because I did my part. Now everyone else has to do theirs. It's the same problem with taxation. You know, why am I going to give the poor guy on the corner a quarter? The government already took my quarter for him, and now he has to go to get it from them. It's a shifting of responsibility. It's a loss of responsibility. It's a willing loss of responsibility, and that's a horrific thing. No one should ever engage in giving up their responsibilities as a human, not as a not as an American citizen, not as a citizen of the world, as a fucking human being. You shouldn't be looking to give up your responsibilities to the general population around you, the people you care about or claim to care about. If you give a shit about people, you should be willing to do things. You should be willing to sacrifice things in order to help and support them. And even if that's just giving up some of your time, giving spare change, it's a world of difference. It's an infinite world of difference between thoughts and prayers and actually going out and supporting these people. Because thoughts and prayers is literally doing nothing and actually showing support by going out and engaging the public, or by financially supporting those who do. There's a world of difference between these two separate actions, and I don't think that the American people as a whole, going back to that whole social programming thing, have the faculties to understand that there is a difference anymore. And that's a sad reality. So, what do we do about it? Well, we have to be mindful. We have to take responsibility. We have to accept the fact that that humans in general have a responsibility to engage socially. Now, it doesn't mean you engage with everybody. It doesn't mean we, as a social contract, but, no man is an island, yada, yada, yada. Even in the strictest case of going about this, of true individualism, you can't pick all the berries, fish all the fish, build all the houses, mine, drill for all the oil, cut down all the trees that you need. You can't do all of this stuff on your own. And, well, that automatically implies that as a cooperative creature, as a social animal, having a social in-group would greatly reduce the stress of human life. And that's what I'm trying to get at here, is that, if you actually give a shit about people of color, there are plenty of things to do other than put a little circle around your profile picture that says BLM. If you care about LGBTQ people, there's a lot more that you can do than putting your pronouns on your profile page on social media. There's lists of charities, and I'm sure I can find somebody who can furnish a whole list of charities that specifically help in education and inclusion of these facets of human civilization into society. The gay people exist. We just have to accept that at this point. As a society, generally, gay people exist is now a fact, and we're not, this is not something to be debated. This is not it's a sexual perversion. There are people who still say that, but governments are not saying that. So people aren't being put in cages because they're gay. People aren't being chemically castrated because they're gay. People aren't being put in mental institutions specifically only because they're gay. So we've actually crossed a gigantic threshold as far as the LGBTQ community is concerned. But I'm absolutely certain that there's still more work to do, and I'm pretty sure that there are plenty of volunteers and volunteer accepting services and also charities that are affiliated to these interests. I'm sure that somebody I know can furnish at least more than a few. At least, links to more than a few. But we have to be mindful of these things. If we know about these issues, why are we worrying about raising awareness of them? If, in general, you can say, hey, people know about breast cancer. So putting a little pink tag on your profile isn't really doing much because everybody knows. You could put information up. You could look up and get accredited information. You could find places where people can get medical tests done for low cost, no cost, and you could post that stuff. There's things that you can do that are beyond tokenism, that don't really that are not really like big efforts, and you don't have to sacrifice your entire existence to the particular cause that you want to get behind. But you could do a little bit more than just post a little thing on your freaking social media account. That's not doing anything. You can do a little more than going, my thoughts and prayers are with the people of blah 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 blah, because that's doing nothing. You can do a step more than nothing. And it's an active choice of not doing it. And it's not 100% your fault. You've been conditioned to think that you don't have to. That, you do this little gesture, and then all of a sudden all is right with the world, because that's what you've been grown up seeing. Well, that's not reality. That's your television. Turn it off, take a look outside, you go walk up to somebody who just had a car accident and their kid got flung out of the car, and tell them that, you give them your thoughts and your prayers. Tell that to people who are wrongfully imprisoned by the criminal justice system. That you put up a Facebook profile picture to raise awareness about innocent people being locked up in jail. There's more that can be done, and you have to actually take responsibility for it. If you support something, you have to take some sort of responsibility for the way that support manifests itself. Because the more tokenism society as a whole engages in, the more the government understands that all they have to do is give tokens. All they have to do is wear an African-sourced scarf into Congress. All they have to do is change the name of the detention centers to overflow facilities, and then all of a sudden it's not kids in cages anymore. It's not so much that you did it to yourselves, but once you're mindful of it, then it becomes a choice. Then it becomes your fault. So, there you go. I mean, is there a comfortable lie? Of course there's a comfortable lie here. A comfortable lie is that, obviously when you change your profile picture, or you put your pronouns up, or you type thoughts and prayers, that magically the deity of choice or the cause fairy falls from the sky and fixes the problem immediately, and none of the hard legwork that anyone who understands direct action will tell you is even necessary or desirable. You don't need to educate the population as to why these things are a problem. If at all, that would be worse, wouldn't it? I mean, come on now. You scroll down any social media, you will find people who are obsessed about really the wrong end of the Black Lives Matter argument. I can't tell you how many families are now destroyed by people who just lacked the education to understand what was going on with the criminal justice system and people of color in this country. They just don't understand. And then people who specifically want this horrible thing to happen would sit there and supply these people with statistics saying, no, it's worse for these people. It's worse for our people because of this and because of that. And it's not. That's a whole other monster. Also, I really have to get on that whole who I think Q is one. Maybe I'll do that like as like a season finale thing. I mean, I know I said I might go more than 10, but I might not. I might go to 10 and then take a break again. Focus on ILMT again. Get a bunch of videos done with that. I just don't know. So this has been Comfortable Lives. I'm Harry. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, like, subscribe, get on the Patreon. I also have a Cash App. I have Buy Me a Coffee. There's plenty of ways that if you want to help support all of the things that I do here, that you can help support. The one thing you can't do is change your profile picture on social media because no one gives a shit. Bye.